I want to talk real quickly about the asinine comparative analysis of the fratricide in our community, meaning us murdering one another, versus law enforcement's unjust murder of black men and women in this country. And I'm sick and tired of hearing us say things like, if we stop killing one another, then they'll stop killing us. That's got to be the stupidest argument that I've ever heard in my life, number one. And number two, you got to understand that when you use these Fox News talking points, all you do is you give them a green light to continue killing us, because what they say to themselves is even black folks are saying that if they stop killing one another, then we'll stop killing them. So that makes them to believe that they have to wait until we stop killing each other in order for the Alton Sterlings and the Philando Castilles and the Alva Brazils of the world, in order for their lives to be spared, we got to stop killing one another. Let me first say you need to take a good look at history and understand that the phenomenon of what is called black on black murder is something that is fairly new. You see, we've been in this country for 461 years. And you got to remember, if you put that 461 years in a pie chart, the vast majority of the time that we've spent in this country, we spent on plantations in chattel slavery. Well, there were no Crips and Bloods on the plantation. We wasn't shooting and cutting and killing one another on the plantation. We were too busy trying to survive. But black lives were still being taken. By who? They were being taken by white slave masters, by white overseers, by these slave patrols that they now modernly call police forces. We've been dying at the hands of white people for hundreds of years in this country. So how can you say that if we stop killing one another, they'll stop killing us, when they've been killing us for centuries, long before we started killing one another in this country? So please stop making those silly remarks. The homicide rate in our community is continuing to escalate. It's related to socioeconomic conditions. It's related to psychological challenges that we face in our community, and a myriad of other challenges that we have to overcome. So it's not like you can just put up a stop sign in our community and say, stop killing one another, and it's going to happen. No, we didn't get into this condition overnight, and it's going to take some time for us to get out of this condition. The unjust murder of us, the state-sanctioned murder of us by law enforcement. See, these are two totally separate issues that require two totally separate solutions. When we kill one another, the undertaker and the funeral parlor makes money, and the private prison owner makes money as well. You don't have no problem with injustice when black folk kill black folk and brown folk kill brown folk. And let me say, understand that 87% of white people who are victims of homicide are killed by other white people too. But we never hear people use the term white on white homicide. See, these are terms that we got to get out of our vocabulary. See, you go into a black business and the service is not up to your standard. And sometimes rightfully so. You can complain, but you leave out of the business and say, see, this is why I don't, support black owned businesses. But have you ever heard a white person leave out of a white owned business and say, you know what, that service was bad, I'll never go to another white owned business again in my life? See, some of the biggest discrimination that black people suffer in this country, we suffer at our own hands. Sometimes we're the biggest discriminator against ourselves. So black on black violence, murder, or whatever y'all want to call it, that's over here. Police murder, that's over here. Don't tell me that nobody in the black community is speaking out against the violence in our community. That's a lie. That's a lie. CNN may not be covering what we're doing to remedy this. And all you see is them covering the protests. But that don't mean we're not doing anything. We're doing a lot by God's grace, and we're going to get there. But you don't make our job easier. You make our job harder when you try to take these two issues and make them intersect where they do not. So we want to say no more bloodshed. Stop the violence. Stop the killing in our community. Love your brother. We all we got, and we all we need. We got to say that in our community, and we have to create jobs and opportunity and make certain that the government of the United States puts the necessary resources in place so that we can create a future for our children, so that they're not walking around hopeless. But more importantly, we have to pool our resources to, as Minister Farrakhan says, purchase land so that we can grow our own food and create an entirely new reality. We got to give our children something to look forward to if we want to stop the violence. But when it comes to the injustice that we suffer at the hands of law enforcement, I want to say to my brothers and sisters out there, keep screaming Black Lives Matter. I want to say to my brothers and sisters out there, keep fighting the power. Keep doing everything within your power to fight for justice for Freddie Gray, for Mike Brown, for Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, and all of the others who have died under state-sanctioned murder by these police officers. We got to speak loud, proud, and we got to fight against both of them. And we will continue to do so. But we got to stop mixing apples and oranges. And let me say, yeah, we got to stop the violence in our community. If we don't bury the violence, the violence will continue to bury us. But at the same time, justice for the black and the brown and the poor is the United States of America's final exam. And if she continues to fail this exam, there will be no makeup. Peace.